Welcome back to For the Road, and welcome back to the 1964 Giulia Sprint GT. First off, apologies for the noise. It is raining today, like most days in Dargle, and I am in a shed, so the sound in here isn't that great. In the last episode of this build series, I stripped out a lot of the electrical system, or most of the electrical system, and I started on the interior, and I've pulled out pretty much all that was left of the interior since then. It's really just the hood liner and a few little bits and pieces left. And today what we're going to be doing is very specifically pulling out the windshields and removing the hood, the headliner, and all the little bits and pieces on it, but doing it in a way that they can be reused and saved. Windshields on 105 coupes and Alfa 105s in general can be pretty tricky. There's a very specific way to get them in and out. This front screen I'm pretty sure is going to break because it is cracked. That was caused by some stone throwing children. So, great. The rear screen's pretty good. This should all come out relatively easily. I haven't siliconed these in. I never got around to actually sealing them properly. So these should come out, in a breeze. If your car has them siliconed in, it might be a little bit more difficult to do. However, when I pulled the screens out of the 73, they were siliconed in, and it wasn't actually that tricky to do. First things first, I think I'm going to pull off the interior mirror and the sun visors and the passenger grab handle and the interior lights. That should make everything a lot easier. The last little thing that needs to come out is the passenger side grab handle, which we have to do is take a tiny little screwdriver and undo the little locating screws in here and here, and then these little trim bits on the end just slide off. And then it has 4 normal screws that undo it, and then that's all the interior hood lining trim off. Now that the headliner has no more trim or anything on it, I'm going to do the next step, which is removing the windshields. So this one's definitely going to break. Obviously, the way that you get these screens out is you've got to kind of lever it out and try pull the rubber out around the inside and sort of flip it over the flange that's in here, and it should all just pop out. The screens come out with the aluminium trim in place. If you try and pull this out with the windscreen in place, you're just going to destroy this piece of trim. I've seen that often. And of course, the windshields have to go back in with this already in the rubber. It's a little bit of a tricky thing to do, but it's once you understand how it works, it's not that hard. Right, let's break this front windshield. And there we go, as predicted, broken. So the front screen came out, and as I predicted, it cracked, obviously. The crack just spread from the stone chip here and went straight up to the middle. So, well, that's not a shame. I knew that was going to happen. And anyway, there's a new screen right there. So I'm not too fussed about that. But obviously I want to be so much more careful with the rear screen because it's still in really good shape. It never seemed to seal that well. The rubber kind of always fell in around this top corner, so I think it should be quite easy getting it out, actually. I don't think it's sealed in 100%. It's never leaked, but I don't think it's sealed properly. Right, so yeah, the rear screen came out, not without putting up a fight, but it came out in one piece, which is what's important. What you do is essentially, what I was doing there was I pushed the gasket over this edge just in the corner, and from there you start levering it out and just getting the inside of the gasket to get on top of this lip, and eventually it will just pop out. The force from around the rest of the windshield aperture will just force it out and just popped out altogether. So it's really not that difficult. It takes a couple of minutes, but it is quite. It takes quite a lot of physical effort to keep that up. So yeah, okay, cool. That's all the glass out of the Sprint GT, and now all that's left to do is to pull out these interior chrome strips that go along the inside of the roofline, and then this headliner should come out pretty easily. Cool. Getting the actual headliner off is not that tricky. It's just very, very time consuming and fiddly. You just undo all the glue along these edges and then it just kind of flops down. And it's held in place by the bow that's in here that holds it up in the middle, and then the recessed section above the passenger seat. This just has a whole bunch of little screws that are in here somewhere. Along here, and once you undo that, this whole rectangular section will drop out, and then the hood liner can just be pulled out. It's pretty simple. It's basically just suspended by a couple of screws and a bow and some glue. It's not really a very secure thing. As I've been pulling it out, I've kind of realized that it is a little bit beaten up and grubby along the edges, and I don't know if it's going to go back in looking very good. So I'm still going to store this away nice and safe, but I might not put it back. I think maybe a new hood liner is required for this car. Right, Okay, the headliner is now out completely and not looking so good. I'm going to take some time to strip out all the foam and glue and everything in here. Yeah, so the reason I took this out was it would not have survived the sandblasting and paint stripping process. Obviously, my goals for this is to get this car down to as bare a shell as possible. I want to get it all the way down to metal so I can work out what needs to be done to make this car solid and strong, because the previous work that was done on it before I bought it was really not good. Like down here in the footwell, you can see where it's just come apart completely. It was just made out of body filler. This is what came out of there. That's what the floor was made out of. So I'm really worried about what I'm going to find under the paint of this car. It has to come apart completely, and it's going to go back together and be so much better than ever. It's going to be a fantastic car. Right, we are now one step closer to having this car stripped down to a bare shell, and in the next episode, the engine's coming out. So, as always, thank you for watching For the Road. If you don't follow me on Instagram, check me out there, Jethro James Bryant, and I'll see you next time.